What do you call someone who was born in one place, grew up in another, but then goes back to the land of their birth and ancestors? A repatriate? My guest today did just that, and a whole bunch of other stuff too. It's financial journalist and podcaster Isabel Wong. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're traveling around the world again. This time we're back to Hong Kong. We're going to have a fun talk with my friend Isabel and her life as a journalist, and we're going to talk about her life as a podcaster. She is the host of Proudly Asian Podcast. So welcome to the podcast, Isabel.
Thanks, Curtis, for having me. And hello, everyone. Hi from Hong Kong.
Wait, you don't have a Hong Kong accent. What kind of accent is that?
Well, make a guess. It's an Isabel accent. You guys are going to figure out after.
What's the weather like in Hong Kong right now?
I mean, lately it's been quite rainy and I would say it's quite depressing. So every time when I look out the window, I see it being so overcast and cloudy. I was just like, oh, not another rainy day again, basically.
But you're still warm though, right? You're still in the high 20s.
Oh, yeah. It's been quite hot and humid, which is the part that I'm not really a fan of.
Yeah. If you're going to visit Hong Kong, you got to do it, October?
Yeah, that would be nice, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any delicious food today? When I think of Hong Kong, I think of food. What do you have today?
Sadly, it's nothing Hong Kong specific. I had Korean for dinner. I was just kind of craving a bit of, soupy stuff. So I ended up having this kimchi tofu stew for dinner. Yeah. All right. Well, that is the beauty of being in Hong Kong. You're right in the middle of Asia. Yeah.
I feel like it's such a good launching point. Did you travel before the pandemic? Were you traveling a lot? Like on a weekend, would you go to Thailand for the weekend?
Oh, I wish. But, as you know, the lifestyle in Hong Kong is quite fast paced and work could be a huge part of everyone who lives in Hong Kong. So when the weekend hit, we would always just be like staying home, resting before another work week began. But yeah, I wish I did before COVID.
Well, things are opening up, right? Like they're loosening up a little bit in Hong Kong, or is it still locked down a little bit?
A tiny bit, but I mean, they did relax the travel restrictions, but still not as attractive as, you could just go out, you could just travel out of the city freely because they still have this quarantine of seven days if you go through all the tests negative. But if you get tested positive, it's going to be 14 or 21 days. Yeah.
Just in a hotel room eating box lunches and
Well,
stuff.
I mean, the hotel room part is it's probably the best option you could have. Otherwise, you would be sent to kind of like a government facility, which I heard could be quite rough for some people.
Okay. You know what? I'll wait till next year. Visit. So we'll meet in Hawaii. That was the plan, right? We're gonna do that.
Or maybe California. I'm trying to figure out a way to go there because my partner's family's there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, for sure. You got to call us up when you're out here.
Yeah.
And if it sounds like we're old friends, everyone, it's because Isabel and I, we go way back to when do we start talking? Well, we started a little podcast group called the Asian Pod Shop, and we talk about podcast. We're super podcast nerds. So we talk about podcasting, and you are the last person to come on my show. I've had everyone else.
Aww.
So my audience knows Teddy. They know Rox and Jules and Lingji. Actually, Ben. No, Ben has never been
Oh,
on.
yeah. The mysterious Ben.
Mysterious Ben. One of these days. Well, actually, we're cooking with him on Friday, I think.
Yes, we are. Did we spoil that?
I don't know. Why are we doing that again? I don't know what we're doing.
I hope he's going to show up.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing is this isn't coming out till end of June, so we'll see. So hopefully by now you saw our Instagram live and one of us is the winner. We'll see how it goes. I again scheduled it at like 8 a.m. in the morning, so you're cooking at 11 at night and I'm cooking at 8 in the morning.
Exciting.
We're doing a mochi pancake contest against the Worst Asian Podcasts, Proudly Asian, Infatuasian Podcasts. We're doing a 1v1v1 contest for Subtle Asian Baking. So hopefully everyone saw us live. I would be shocked if we have like 10 people.
I mean, don't be so pessimistic. Maybe we will get more than that, like 11.
And then 3 of them are related to me, 3 are related to you.
Yes.
We'll see. Yeah. But good times. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about you since you are our special guest today. Let's do a little deep dive into the background. You were born in England, in Nottingham.
Actually, I mean, I have
plot twist.
Yes, I have a plot twist, new information for you. I mean, so actually, I was born in Hong Kong because my mom happened to be visiting around then when she was pregnant with me, and I decided to arrive early because maybe because I couldn't resist the smell of like pineapple buns or egg tarts, whatever that is. But I was born in Hong Kong, but then I went on to continue growing up in the land of mostly miserable weather, without easy access to pineapple buns, obviously.
So wow. So how does that work? Do you have Hong Kong residency because of that? Well, you had it from your mom anyway, or?
Yes, because of my mom, I would have it anyway. So I'm a permanent resident in Hong Kong. So dual.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So does your mom's family go back to Hong Kong or China? Where is your...
they have family members in Hong Kong. So I remember when I was a kid, during, like summer holidays or Christmas or whenever we had any time window, or sometimes my mum would make me take holidays for Lunar New Year as well, to go to Hong Kong to meet up with the relatives, the cousins, my aunties and uncles. So yeah, like we would spend quite a bit of time in Hong Kong.
Do you know why they moved to England or when they moved to England? What was the plan?
Okay, that's interesting because I'm embarrassed to admit that I haven't learned the full story of my family fully, and I didn't get around to calling my grandma before the recording of this podcast. So
she's the keeper of the knowledge, yeah?
Exactly. So she holds the key to all the knowledge about the family history and all. But from the bits and bobs that I still remember when I used to listen in on the conversations between my mum and my grandma, and I didn't fully understand what they were talking about as well. So I think my grandma on my mum's side went through World War II, which is just like any other grandparent, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, and on my dad's side, my granddad is actually half British and half Chinese, half Cantonese. And my parents met in Hong Kong, actually. So that's pretty much all I know.
So you end up in England, in Nottingham, the land of Robin Hood. So English was pretty much your first and main language. You've heard Cantonese growing up, but you never really learned it?
Yes, so English is what I speak on a daily basis, is my native language. And Cantonese, I think my listening is better than my speaking, because I think I used to hear my mom and my grandma speaking Cantonese, or sometimes Hakka quite a bit. So I might be able to listen, but I'm definitely not able to speak Hakka. But Cantonese, maybe a little bit, these days, because I live in Hong Kong. So I would be able to order my favorite dishes from my favorite restaurant, or telling the taxi driver where to go, because, I kind of needed that to go home.
Yeah, so between the two of us, I think we can get a plate of noodles. Maybe we can get some. What else could we do? We can get some movie tickets. So between the two of us, we're not real good in Cantonese.
Yeah, we'll make a good team, I believe.
Yeah. A lot of pointing, a lot of charades. Yeah.
Yes, illegal, go. Yes, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, I've been in Hong Kong a little bit, enough to know how little Cantonese I actually know. So you're in England, and so I looked up Nottingham a little bit. There's a little bit of diversity, So you were not the only Asian kid, but were you one of the only Asian kids in class, or one of 4 maybe?
Yeah, that's quite accurate. Sometimes I would be the only Chinese in class, but definitely not the only Asian, because there are quite a few Asians, for example, like Indians around in my classes as well. So yeah, when I grew up, I was definitely not the only Chinese person around. Definitely there was the presence of a lot of like Chinese or Asians, for example, Indians, but at the same time, the presence of Asians was not as prominent as those in the US or in Asia, of course.
Was it part of your awareness on a daily basis? Did you, I'm trying to think back when I was a kid, and I don't think I thought about it that much when I was little. And then in middle school, I started being more aware, oh wow, I'm Chinese, When you're little, you're just a kid, right? And you're just going through it. But did you have an awareness of your Chineseness as a kid?
That's a very good question, because I think I also asked this question to a lot of my guests on my podcast, and a lot of them actually end up saying they didn't really think that much about ethnicities, skin colors when they were a kid. And I think that kind of reminds me that I was about the same. I never really thought I was Chinese. I would never be able to, mingle with other people, because, kids, right? They would just have fun together. As long as the other kid seems fun, then you would just go for it.
Yeah.
I didn't come to realize this racial dynamics until maybe I was much, much older, or even after I moved to Hong Kong full time. Yeah.
Then you realize, oh, maybe I'm not as Chinese as I thought I was.
Yeah, that's true.
That happened to me. So when I went to Asia, I hadn't been to Asia until college, until about 20 years old. And I go to Hong Kong and I realize, man, I'm really American.
Yeah.
I thought I was pretty Chinese. I thought I was decently Chinese, but I got to Hong Kong and I realized, man, I don't speak the language. I don't even dress the same. It was kind of a reverse culture shock.
Yeah. Did you wear white socks in your sandals?
Probably. No, here's the thing. I didn't even wear sandals. That was the thing. No, yeah, it was just really interesting. And I went through a phase where I really wanted to be more Asian, for a minute. Well, even now. But yeah, I was walking around. I was like, man, I wish I had learned language, or I wish I had more understanding of my roots and my culture. So I kind of dove into it a little bit, and I thought about living in Hong Kong for a minute. I really wanted to live there, but it just didn't work out. And then, yeah, funny story. I was actually going to move to Beijing in 2003. You weren't alive. No, you were alive, but you were
I
you
was
were young.
alive.
But so in 2003, I was gonna move. And do you remember what happened in 2003 in Beijing or Hong Kong?
Was it SARS?
The first SARS, yeah. So it was the original, I guess, SARS, and so they closed up everything, and so I couldn't go. So I ended up staying here, and so I had quit my job and everything. I had quit my job as a teacher, and I was ready to go to this Beijing language school because I wanted to learn Mandarin. And I was going to live there for a year and study Mandarin. And then they shut everything up, and the program said, you can't come. Even if you wanted to, they won't let you in. And then it all kind of blew over in 3 months. It was kind of something I thought would happen with this one. But then just things had, I needed money and I needed to work. And I had met my then, she wasn't my wife then, but I met Vivian during that time. So I was like, well, I could wait. I'll go later. And then, we got married a year and a half later. And then, so it just never worked out. I just ended up being stuck here. Not stuck, but I ended up staying here.
Oh,
and yeah.
If not for SARS, we could very well be having this conversation face to face.
We could be neighbors, yeah. But so you go through a little. What do you do? What happens in high school that makes you say to yourself, "I want to go to Hong Kong and live there forever"?
Well, I'm not so sure about forever because I'm still very curious about other places. So who knows where I will be in a few years' time. But I mean, I think going back to what we were talking about, right? Well, I didn't think I encountered much discrimination back then when growing up. People would always address me as, oh, that Chinese girl, but that wasn't really coming from a place of racism. Or like when I used to walk on the streets, you know, some chavs or drunk people would yell at me saying things that wouldn't be so nice, but I would think of that as mostly because they were drunk or they were just like chavs being chavs. But I think one incident when I remember when I was in high school, which we would call college. College means high school in the UK. So I just began going to this college, and it was the freshers week where everybody got a chance to join some taster classes to figure out what they actually wanted to do for the A levels, right? Which is the exam before you go into the universities. And I had my mind set on doing English literature. And as one of the subjects, so I went for one of the taster classes, and I remember this teacher who was a white male. He asked me to stay behind and told me that I think you should choose something that people like yourself would be stronger at. And implying that because I am ethnically Chinese, he didn't think I would do very well in English lit, but of course, the rebel in me just thought, why not? I've done this before. Why wouldn't I do well in A levels? Right. So I went on to do English lit, and I kind of ended up becoming the top 10% of English lit students during my year. But I almost flopped maths, which is a subject that my people were supposed to be good at. Yeah.
Oh, man. So you're doing it, and then what was your thinking process towards the end of your high school?
Yeah, so I think, since I was 5, I knew I wanted to become a broadcast journalist. So it wasn't a very hard decision for me to decide that I wanted to do journalism as a uni student. But of course, I did flip-flop a little bit, thinking maybe I would like to do law, just to make my parents proud. But well, still I went for what I loved, and I decided to do my journalism course in Hong Kong because growing up, visiting Hong Kong, I would always, have those like hip cousins around, and then they would give me the leftover yes cards. I don't know if you have heard of yes cards.
Yeah.
But for those who are not familiar, yes cards are I think they're like trading cards, but with Asian celebrities on them. But I think I've seen Justin Timberlake on some of those yes cards. But anyway, Hong Kong was always this hip and trendy place for me. And in my impression, there would always be something happening. You were never bored. Lights never go out in the city. So that's what made the city really attractive to me. And I kind of wanted to live that kind of lifestyle for real as an adult.
Yeah. Growing up, did you ever see anyone that looked like you on the news? Did you ever see an Asian broadcaster or even on a show?
This is funny. I'm pretty sure there are some, but in the UK, especially, we just have BBC, right? I don't think BBC is necessarily known for their diversity in terms of on-air talents, at least back in the days. So I think if any Asian broadcasters I would see, it would either be like news programs from either TVB, or sometimes if I happen to come across any US TV channels, I would be like, whoa, that's refreshing. There's this like Asian broadcaster speaking, anchoring a news program.
Yeah. We've had a little Bay Area. We always have a few, but I was wondering if England had that. Huh.
Yeah, I don't think. I don't think it would be so obvious if they even had that, or they would put all the Asians to work behind the scenes.
Yeah. So you end up in Hong Kong studying journalism. Did you double in anything? Was it pure journalism, or did you do something else as well?
Yeah, so I did journalism, but I also did a second major, which is business administration, because I knew pretty early on as a teenager that I wanted to do business and financial journalism.
Okay. So the pieces are falling together here. So you graduate and you start doing a little bit of internships at stations and whatnot, or how did your career start in Hong Kong?
Mm-hmm. So actually, I started my journalism career pretty early on, back when I was around 16 to 17, around then, because during my summer holidays, I would always try to sign myself up. And so I ended up signing up to help out at this radio station. But then when I began my journalism program in Hong Kong, I began getting myself into all sorts of journalism work because I just wanted to get my foot in the door. So I wrote bylines for local newspapers and also some news organizations in Europe out of Hong Kong. And so during my early days, I was doing a lot of things at the same time, from filming, editing, video packages, writing, doing some on-camera reporting to social media. So I was really trying to try out all sorts of roles within the media industry.
That's probably the way to go, right? Is you can't be a one-trick pony. You have to have... I think that's probably helped you out in a lot of different ways. Yeah,
yeah, definitely. It gave me really good training, and it prepared me for all the jobs, whether or not in journalism, that I would get into later on in my career.
Was your dream to be on camera though? Was that kind of the ultimate goal?
I think when I was 5, I did think appearing on TV would be quite cool. But times change. People stop watching TVs these days. So I think by the time I got the chance to be on air, I don't think TV was necessarily the most popular, format for people to get their news anymore.
That's
so
true. Yeah.
So that's what prompted me to think a little bit more digitally.
There's a fun little YouTube video of the day in the life of a broadcast journalist.
Yes.
That was super fun. I enjoyed that. It was just fun seeing you, and you were going, it's like a 12-hour day when you're doing...
Yeah.
Walk us through a day in the life of a broadcast journalist.
I mean, watch the YouTube video. But
yeah, that's true.
But of course, so a daily shift for anyone who works in TV news would be at least 10 hours every day. So from the moment that I wake up, I would already be scrolling through some major news sites, just to get myself prepared. What are some of the headlines during the day that I would need to be focusing on, and I would start going to work depending on whether or not I was on early shift or late shift. If it's early shift, I would be going to work at around 9 a.m. But late shift, it would be like 2 p.m. for me, and I would get off work at around midnight. So no social life. So when I get to the newsroom, I would usually try to finish maybe 1 to 2 stories or packages that need to be rolled out during the main news program during the night, and then I would go for makeup, and then after makeup I would go actually do the VOs for my stories and whatnot, and also do some preparation for my own weekly show, because that actually takes up quite a bit of my time every day, and then that would kind of keep me busy until I would have to go on the air for main news at 8 p.m. So yeah, I mean, it's at least a couple years ago now. So I might be forgetting some of the details.
What are some of the best parts about? Is it fun being on the air and getting people to recognize you and stuff, or is it just a lot of work?
It is a lot of work. I remember thinking to myself, there would be times that because I had no social life, like anyone who would text me and be like, hey, do you want to hang out tomorrow night or something? I'd be like, no, I'm going to be at work. I remember feeling a bit sad because I was not able to be there for some of my friends during the birthdays, or like even my partner. We were living together already, but then I was pretty much absent most of the time. But then I think the highlights would definitely be that I think there's one moment which was like seeing myself show up on a billboard at Times Square in Hong Kong. Wow. That was quite surreal. That was pretty recent, but yeah, I think I don't know how to describe that feeling, but seeing yourself on a billboard is like something else. But I know there are a lot of billboards in the US, so maybe it's not like that.
Well, no, that would be special. I think that'd be kind of cool.
And then the other one would be meeting a lot of smart people from all walks of life, because my beat was pretty much financial news. So I would be constantly in talks with, founders, CEOs of some startups or some companies, or like economists, analysts from banks and financial institutions. So it's kind of fun, when I chat with them off the air, behind the scenes, and to kind of understand the thought process. That part is quite interesting to me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So 2021 rolls around and you pivot a little bit into content strategy, and so you're working more from home and you're working a little less in the studio, and you decide, you know what I should do? I should start a podcast. What was the thinking behind that?
Proudly Asian is essentially a project that's years in the making, after more than a decade, since I was a teenager wanting to do projects, and after more than a decade and many scrapped project ideas after, so Proudly Asian happened. So I spent my life wondering about my identities as an Asian, right? And then also through my journalism career, I met quite a lot of really talented Asians who, as I got the chance to chat with them, they also went through the same questions. For example, like, who am I? What am I? And then I realized it wasn't just myself that would go through that phase of wondering about my identities. And also throughout the years, myself and also, some of my Asian friends who would be subjected to a lot of biases, racist remarks, microaggression, and unfortunately violence that we've been seeing over the past few years as Asians. And also for Asian women, there would be casual sexism that puts us in real danger. So essentially, in short, Proudly Asian is a platform that tells and celebrates stories of Asians, half Asians, part Asians, Asians who are told they are not Asian enough, and also Asians who got told they are too Asian. And then, so I would like for these Asian listeners who are still wondering about their identities to feel heard and seen. And at the same time, I would like the world to understand more about the stories of different Asians around the world and learn that there is no one way to look at Asians, because it wouldn't be right for anyone to generalize Asians. There are just so many types of them, and there isn't, it's just not right to make assumptions about how Asians should behave or should look like.
Yeah. So Proudly Asian, available at all the places you get your podcast. Just started in January, right?
Yes.
So about 6 months for you. Do you have, you've interviewed a bunch of different people, and I think they are from all over the world, which is pretty fun. We all speak English. All your guests speak English, but they're from all over the world. Almost, I don't know if any of them live in their hometown. Like, I'm trying to think of any of them that actually live in their home. They're mostly expats, yeah?
That's true, yeah.
I feel like.
Okay, I just realized that. But yeah, that's right.
So these are folks that you've met through just networking over the years, or do you cold call people? How do you find your guests?
So some of them are my friends, because I'm so lucky to be surrounded by a lot of talented Asians who are really successful in their own jobs and domains. So that was a start for me. But eventually, I do cold call my guests, because sometimes I would just be looking through some news stories, or even like looking on the internet, and then I would come across these really interesting profiles, and it just got me really curious, and I just had to message them.
Yeah, that's what I do too. I'm just looking on YouTube or Instagram. I know some of these people, but a lot of these people I've never met, and a lot of people are willing to tell their story, which I think is great, which is cool, and we're just willing to have them on. So Proudly Asian, taking a little break in the end of May, but coming back. When are you coming back with season 2?
So we are coming back in June. So stay tuned.
Yeah, so it actually should be, we're probably dropping this episode in June as well. So you could listen to all of season 1 and probably start of season 2 in June.
Yes.
Do you have some, now, of course, all the episodes are great, but do you have a favorite episode that you might want to point listeners to?
It's like picking my favorite child.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe one of the highlights is the episode where I spoke to this English Tibetan couple behind the Taste Tibet restaurant that's in Oxford. It was actually my first time speaking to anyone from Tibet. So I was very, very excited. Since a child, I don't know why, I've always wanted to visit Tibet, but I haven't got around to. And before the recording, I did so much research about Tibet and the lifestyle of their people, because I just had so many questions. And yes, through talking to Yeshi and Julie, I learned a lot. So I do encourage everyone to listen to that episode.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. One of them that I really liked, I'm blanking on the name now. The woman who she did a meditation at the end of the episode.
Yes, it will be Yinki Wong.
Yinki Wong, yeah.
Yeah, she's this meditation professional, and she's also a certified sound healer.
Yeah, no, that was cool. I was driving home, hard day at work, and you're listening to this woman, and she's so mellow. And then she leads us through kind of a meditation at the end of it, and it's so peaceful. I had to have my eyes open because I was driving, but yeah, I definitely recommend that one. And you've had all kinds of, you've had people in the film industry, people in, what are some other industries that you guys have touched on?
We have digital marketers, journalists, book authors, even a luxury watch specialist recently.
Yeah. Half French, half Chinese. That was very cool. And so everyone out there, you can learn a lot about lots of different, every episode I've noticed is just totally different from the last one. And it's good times. And at the end of the segment, or at the end of the show, you do a segment called your Rapid Bias segment. What is that segment for you?
Yeah, so going back to one of the missions that I wanted to achieve while creating Proudly Asian, which is challenging the bias about Asians. So when I was doing a sort of like a brainstorming as for how I could do this in a fun and lighthearted way, I came to this idea of rapid bias, which for those who are not familiar, it's a segment where I ask my guests biased questions they got asked at some point in life. So those are real biased questions they got asked in a rapid fire format. So in a way, I wanted to give a platform for my guests to address some of these biased questions directed at them that are usually not very nice. And most of the time, they get fired at us so quickly that we wouldn't even know how to respond at the moment in time. So it's really not nice to just say something like, I remember one of the questions would be, where is Myanmar? Never heard of it. Because that is someone's home. That is where someone is from. And the fact that if you ask something like, I never heard of your home, it's kind of hurtful in a way. And at the same time, I think I try to do it in a fun and creative format because I want to invite more people who are not even Asians to listen to this conversation and participate in it and understand all kinds of bias that Asians would get on a daily basis.
Yeah. It's for fun too. Like some of your questions are fun. What's your vision for your podcast? What do you see happening in the future? I mean, we're just starting out.
This is a very tough question because I haven't really thought that far. When I first started this project, I thought I just wanted to sort of celebrate the Asian identities and have a bit of fun for myself because I've always been in like financial journalism and I never really got to, telling stories of everyday people because I was always, quoting what economists and analysts would say. But so far I'm having a lot of fun creating Proudly Asian and meeting different talented Asians, including podcasters like yourself, Curtis, and just chatting with listeners from from all over the world about things that they think they could relate to after listening to some of our episodes, or even things that they don't really understand. Like we would also chat through those things over DMs on Instagram. So I don't know who knows. I mean, for now it's a podcast, but I'm definitely open to any exciting directions that Proudly Asian could take. Maybe, in sometime in the future, it's not going to be a podcast. It could be something completely different. Maybe in the metaverse.
Yeah, okay. All right. Do you have any dream guests that are on your, maybe some slightly realistic, but also a little bit of a reach for you? Are you trying to get any guests that you are dreaming of?
I don't think they're necessarily dream guests. I mean, they could be dream guests. But, well, I mean, definitely Henry Golding.
Henry Golding, yeah, that's... I've heard that name come up a few times for you.
Yes, and Simu Liu. One fun fact is that when I was working on the templates for Proudly Asian's branding and also like guest promos that you see on our Instagram, the placeholder image that I put into the guest promo is actually Simu Liu's stock photo. So
you throw it. He's known for throwing himself out there. So you never know.
Manifesting now.
Honestly, of the big Asian celebrities, I feel like he's the one that if you just tagged him on something, he might reply and he might say, "Oh yeah, sure." He's got a new book out.
Yes.
So
yes. Oh yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
True.
All right.
True.
But Henry Golding is the white whale. He's the
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we've got to put that one out there. Henry, if you're listening to either of our podcasts, come on.
Come on over.
On the show. Yeah. No, we were talking about Gemma Chan is starting a podcast.
Yes, that's right.
About Vincent Chin. Yeah, and so I'm throwing it out there to Gemma that if she needs a co-host, because she's British, she doesn't know American culture, right? So I can kind of help her out. And I'm a Chin, she's a Chan. We're talking about Vincent Chin, right? So I think it's a no-brainer for her.
Yeah. I mean, according to the usual logic that people would ask Asians, like if you're a Chin, he's a Chin, then you definitely know each other, right?
Right? Yeah. No, we're related. I'm 99% sure I'm related to Vincent and Gemma somehow in the village somewhere. You go back maybe 10, 20 generations. There's got to be a common relative. So.
Yeah.
Are you having fun doing the podcast? Is it right now a labor of love, right? Because we're so small. Both of us are kind of just getting started. We're not making any money off of this. Is it just a labor of love right now? Are you having fun? Does it feel like work at all?
Definitely. I work on this out of passion. And yeah, definitely not making any money for now. But I do enjoy creating Proudly Asian very much because other than meeting talented people, Asians from around the world, I'm also learning a lot from them because, being Asian myself, I wouldn't necessarily say I know a lot about being Asian. So from talking to my guests, I'm learning a lot of like cultures and customs from different countries that I never heard of, even though I might have heard of the countries, but then that would be all that I knew of, but then I wouldn't know, the daily lives of, what it's like living in Indonesia.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. For me, it's a little form of therapy, like trying to get in touch with my roots a little bit more and meeting really cool and accomplished people in their fields and just talking through it with them, learning about myself too along the way. So I don't know. I guess I'll just do it until it's not fun anymore. I haven't thought about the ending either.
But I mean, since you did so many episodes, right? Do you have a favorite one?
Oh yeah, so you're throwing it back on me. I see how it is. All right. I'm gonna say I really just to throw it to another one of our podcast sisters out there. I really enjoy talking to Linda. Linda Nun in France. She runs a podcast called the Banh Mi Podcast. And her passion and just she is so genuine and she understands she's not a professional, but she does such a good job. And she's really, and in France, she's one of the only Asian podcasters in the French language. And to me, that was like the responsibility that she feels to the community. I thought it was really a fun interview. Plus, Asians with accents. I'm a big sucker for Asians with accents. So yeah, talking to people in Australia, people with English accents. Yeah, so I'll put that one out there.
Hey, you have an American accent as well, Curtis.
Yeah, I know. Someone told me that, and I was like, I've never even thought about that I have an accent. Isn't it funny that people get excited about something that you just have? It's not like I worked on it.
Yeah, I remember meeting the cousins of my boyfriend for the first time because he's actually from LA. He's Filipino American, and I remember meeting them for the first time, and then the cousins were like, "Oh my god, you have an accent! It's like watching a movie." I'm like, "Oh, what's this?" And then they're like, "It's like Harry Potter." I'm like, "Well, no."
Yeah. No, Americans, we're bonkers for our accents. We, because we think of our accents being pretty lame, but like when we meet someone from Australia or England, it's like we go bonkers. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, right. You didn't think about it that much, but then now, if you go to America, you'd be a rock star. You'd be.
Yeah, I think some sales associates in those shopping mall, they might have a bit of they find it difficult to understand me. So I actually, whenever I was in LA, I found myself having to repeat myself quite often when I'm trying to do some shopping.
Can you do an American accent when you have to?
I don't know. I would like to think that my accent has neutralized a little bit because after having been with my boyfriend for so long, I would kind of think that, it's, like when I first moved to Hong Kong, I used to have this like East Midlands accent, and I think it was kind of a bit difficult for local Hong Kong people to understand me, and I would always have to repeat myself. So eventually I sort of neutralized it a little bit to make people understand me better, especially for video editors at TV stations where most of them are locals. So sometimes I would even speak Chinglish with them. But now I would like to think it's not as thick. So maybe next time I'll tell you when I stop by LA next time and see if I have to explain myself repeatedly.
Is there a distinctive accent from your region in England? Will people recognize you right away as Nottingham?
Yes, I don't think it's as thick in terms of my accent anymore. But then in Nottingham, it has quite. I think I don't know, like it's so easy for me to understand, but I think if you actually go to Nottingham, you'll be like, oh my God, what are they on about? Because I think, I don't know, how do I find examples? For example, if you're talking about bus, we would normally say bus.
Okay.
Yeah, or like Monday, something like that.
Yeah. Do you call it's from Nottinghamshire? Is that
Nottinghamshire.
Share. All right, Isabel Wong, you have survived our tough questions. Now it is time. Well, you have the rapid bias, but we are going to do our segment called the lightning round. And I have not even made these questions yet. All right, let me think. Okay. If you had to choose for breakfast, between bangers and mash or the Hong Kong breakfast, Pei Dan Sao Yuk Juk, would you choose the juk or the eggs and sausage?
I would actually choose the bangers and mash because
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of congee, unfortunately. But if it was macaroni soup, it's gonna be very difficult. I might actually choose macaroni soup.
Okay, yeah, that's my wife's family's from Hong Kong. She loves that. A little bit of ham in there. It's kind of refreshing. Yeah. All right. What is your favorite Hong Kong baked good?
Egg tarts
Yeah.
with milk tea.
Yeah, they taste different in Hong Kong. It's something about the water, or I don't know what it is. But because, San Francisco, we have quite a few Asian bakeries out here. But something about an egg tart in Macau or in Hong Kong, it just hits a little differently.
I've never tried it, but I'm curious now. Egg tarts in San Francisco.
Yeah, come on by. I'll treat you. There's a street in San Francisco that has like 5 or 6 of these places, and we'll do a little egg tart crawl.
Yes, please.
All right. Let me think. Okay, so we have a question from a listener in Flushing, New York, and he writes, "Can you please ask Isabel how old she is?"
Nice try. But it's not nice to ask a lady how old she is.
Yeah, how dare you, listener? How dare you make me ask her this question? How rude.
Nice try.
For those who don't know, that is our friend. We won't even name him on the show. We don't want to give him that much credit, but it's our friend in New York. I tried, but she's too smart for you, so she's not going to answer that question. All right, so let's just for fun, after work, let's say you're getting out of the studio, so you have to think back. Now you're working at home, but back in the days when you got out of the studio at 11 o'clock at night, what's your favorite late night meal in Hong Kong?
I would say instant noodles or some sort of instant noodle soup, yeah.
Will you go home and eat it or go to like a 7-Eleven and have it there?
I would normally have some instant noodles at home. So I would normally cook it at midnight or just past midnight.
Yeah, and then you could just crawl right into bed.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, and then our last question is one we do at the end of all of our shows. We ask our guests who their infatuasian is. An infatuasian is someone from the Asian community that you may admire from afar, or maybe you know them. Could be living, could be deceased. Isabel Wong, who is your infatuasian?
Yeah, I actually had to think a bit, and I think it will have to be Gemma Chan. Because she's from England, and also her parents are from Hong Kong, and she's incredibly intelligent. She's pretty. She's so elegant. So I think she definitely sort of is one of the celebrities out there who's breaking the bias about what Chinese or like Asian could be.
And she seems really nice. I've seen her on interviews. Like, she seems just like a down-to-earth girl.
Woman,
excuse me. She's not down-to-earth woman. Yeah, she does stuff for the community. She's very involved with, I forget the name. Like, in America, we call it Stop AAPI Hate. But in England, they had a similar movement, and she was very involved with that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, good choice. Gemma Chan. She is always welcome on the show. So, Gemma, if you want to come on, I will cancel all of our other interviews and put you on immediately.
Make way for Gemma.
We will make way for Gemma. She's got a couple things coming up, right? She's got Crazy Rich Asians 2.
Oh, yes.
I think they were talking about doing a spin-off from that as well.
Yeah.
So Gemma Chan, if you want to promote, we will promote all your stuff. Come on, have a little chat.
Yes.
Oh, man. Oh, what do you have coming up? Do you want to tease any of your upcoming episodes on Proudly Asian?
So for season 2, I really put myself to work to find many different guests from all sorts of different backgrounds that we might not have featured in season 1. So you will be hearing from a lot of guests who have heritage in Southeast Asia, South Asia, North Asia, and just basically all over the place. So definitely you will be in for a treat if you tune in to season 2 of Proudly Asian.
Of course we'll tune in. Yeah, no, we're looking forward to season 2. Isabel Wong, thank you so much for coming on our show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Curtis.
Yeah, we'll do more. We'll do these things called happy hours with our little podcast group. Of course, it's like 6 a.m. where I am.
Well, happy hours any time.
It's always happy to talk to friends, but yeah, it's a little rough on my end. But otherwise, you'd be at 1 a.m. if we go any later. So
next time I'll try to stay up for you.
No, happy to do early morning. So all of you out there, go tune in to Proudly Asian. You can find that anywhere you get your podcasts, and also on Instagram with the same username. Are you on YouTube? You have a little bit on YouTube, right?
Yes. So on Instagram, you can find us at proudly.asian. And on YouTube, you can just search Proudly Asian Podcast.
All right. And if you want to find us, you can email us at infatuasianpodcast@gmail.com, or you can follow us at The Infatuasian Podcast on Instagram or Facebook. I'll put all these details in the show notes. Give us a follow. Give us both a review on Apple Podcasts. That would be great. You can give us a rating on Spotify. Until we talk again, Isabel, on behalf of Isabel and myself, we hope that you're all happy, healthy, and safe out there. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
That is a wrap.
Yes.
Have you done other shows? Have you been on anyone else's show?
So far, not yet. I mean, I did get some invites, but then I think scheduling has been quite a challenge on my end, actually.
Yeah, if they're from the U.S. It's tricky. I'm gonna go on Teddy's show this week.
Oh, to talk about true crime.
Yeah.
What is it that you're gonna talk about?
Well, she's got this one with have you remember in Tokyo? Now, this one may be before you were alive. This in the 90s, there was a subway attack using sarin gas.
Oh.
In like the mid 90s, and so she has me on as the science expert. So I'm gonna explain sarin gas to her listeners. But that'll be super fun. Yeah. Have you listened to her? She's really fun.
Yes, I have. And but then again, like I'm not
you don't like
super.
Yeah.
I'm not big on true crime podcasts, unfortunately. I love documentaries, like watching, but then listening is completely different. I think they get into, some specific details, and then when I start imagining it, it's kind of, it makes it hard to sleep.
I know. No, yeah, I couldn't do it either. I don't know if she just blocks it out or doesn't think about it too much, but yeah. She said that sometimes she gets creeped out. Yeah, sometimes she'll get into an episode and she just can't do it.
I'll send you one case, or maybe you're both on Slack, one case that I came across, but I think it was about the torturing of this Japanese high school girl. She was tortured for like 40-something days. It was a very long time ago, and when I looked up the case, I don't know, it just gave me nightmare that night.
I think she did start that one. I think that was one of the ones that she started. Yeah, the torture ones I can't do.
Yeah. I think you should look into another case in Hong Kong that happened. I think it was like a university professor who killed his family by inserting some sort of like toxic gas into a yoga ball.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then popping the ball, or it just slowly diffuses?
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have problems with movies that are fiction, that talk about stuff like that. But when you start to think about how it's real, it kind of creeps you out.
Yeah, I know.
Not for me. No. Yeah, especially, and things change a little bit when you become a dad. When you become a dad or a mom, a parent, you start thinking, worst case scenarios, and it's just, I can't do it. So I'm going to continue to talk about fluffy stuff. We're going to do movies, we're going to do books, we're going to do music on our
For sure.
Yeah. I got one for you. Well, I'm going to try to talk to her. It's this woman from Spain. She's Chinese born, but she's riding her bike from Spain to Asia. And she's on the road right now.
Wow.
So I'm curious to talk to her. I think she said as long as she has Wi-Fi, she can do it.
Do you know where she is on the journey?
She's on her way to Italy. She just finished France. So she rode from Spain through France, and she's on her way to Italy. So
she's actually vlogging about her journey.
yeah. So she's not live updating, but she's updating like fairly consistently to show her journey.
What's her name?
But, Sarah, Saraqiu, Chu. And her YouTube channel is Journey from the Road.
Ooh, interesting. I found her.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just messaged her 2 days ago, and she got back right away. So she's online a lot. I guess when she's in Europe, she won't have a problem. When she gets to some other more remote places, she may have trouble uploading. But
where's her destination?
She said she doesn't know. Like, she doesn't have an endpoint in mind. She just says the Far East. She's taking the Silk Road, I guess.
I see.
But yeah, I think once you get out to like Western China, it's gonna be more iffy. Getting your bike repaired and all that, and equipment and stuff.
Yeah.
But she's solo traveling, so yeah.
Wow.
So I'll let you know. She's gonna come on soon, but I think she'd be great for your show too.
I will be curious to listen to her on your show.
And you know me, right? So she's got the Spanish accent.
Oh.
With the Chinese face.
Are you gonna change your accent?
I know. Did you hear me on the one with Linda?
You were kind of like showing off your French.
And it's so bad. She was like, "Yeah, my friends thought your attempt at French was really funny." I was like, "It was? I thought I was pretty good."
You tried.
I tried. I know. But in your head, you sound great, right? You're like, "Oh, that sounds so good."
Yeah. Do you have more recordings coming up this weekend?
Yeah. So, have you read Chemistry by Weike Wang?
No, not yet.
So she's an up and coming author, and she's very bright. So she came on a couple weeks ago. So we did her. So I'm editing that right now, and then I have a ballet dancer from San Francisco. So she's someone I actually know her, but she's danced for like 20 years, which is rare in that industry, So she's held on. She had a baby, and still I know. So I think she's almost 40.
Oh, wow.
And she's still doing it.
They must live a very like strict lifestyle, right? As ballerina.
She said that, yeah, in her younger days, no, it'd be like a hamburger. As soon as after she's done dancing, she'd have a hamburger. But now, and she'd just show up right before rehearsal without stretching or anything and just start dancing. But she said now she's got to show up an hour early, really stretch things out.
Oh, my God. Wow.
So she's not sure how much longer she wants to do it. But yeah.
Do you know much about the live that we're going to be on?
No, I know nothing. Yeah, so I don't know. What's the point of it again? I guess just we're not raising money or anything, right? We're just...
I feel like Kat is always raising money for something.
Yeah, and looking for content.
And yeah, I'm also kind of wondering about like if Lingy needs any help or like when the promos are coming out, because I think because it's this week, right? So
it's Friday, yeah.
So I might have to plan something for the feed. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the promo.
Yeah, I want to promote it if we can get some people out there. I don't want to just be the three of us cooking with two people watching.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So I guess we're cooking for half an hour or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. So I feel like I would actually, what I would do is I would maybe prepare, like pre-measure everything that I needed.
Right,
so when we go live, it would just, be the
stirring,
cooking bit.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll have fun with it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually nervous because I don't cook all that much.
Yeah, I don't think Lingji does either.
Really?
I don't think so.
Oh my God, you're gonna win now.
Well, it's just pancakes. We can all do pancakes, right? So
I'm not so sure.
Oh man, we'll have fun. I think we'll have fun.
Yes. So. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'll let you get your ramen and go to bed.
But it was fun catching up.
Yeah,
Let's do a happy hour soon.
Yeah, we definitely. I'm off all summer, so I can
Oh,
meet
yeah.
anytime. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll let you know if I even get a chance to go to California.
Yeah. Do you ever
I
come
really-
up to the Bay Area or mostly LA?
Last time I was in California, I was in San Francisco for a few days, but it was really short, so I didn't get to explore much because we did the PCH back to LA. Yeah, but this time I feel like I would like to stay there. If I really get to go, I would like to stay there for a month. So hopefully I
Yeah.
would be able to go elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, for sure. Give us a call.
Yeah.
We'll
Egg
show you
tarts
around
tour.
the city. Egg tart crawl. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on.
No worries. Take care. Have a good weekend. Bye.
See you later.